Alright, what's up guys? So today we're going to be working on the BRZ. So it's been quite a while since the last time we saw the BRZ. I think the last video was actually when we put the wing on back in December. But we're going to start doing the subframe and the gas tank replacement on this thing. So the gas tank, I have a couple fuel leaks on it. So I did some stupid stuff a couple years ago. That is the reason why I need to replace the gas tank. But once we get that dropped out, I'll show you what I accidentally did with it, and I feel like an idiot for doing it. But we're also going to be installing a couple different things for the fuel pump, and for the subframe itself I have some bushings for it and some new control arm, well not control arms, but some new suspension arms, just to kind of give it a little bit of a refresh, because I still have some stock suspension pieces back there that I want to change out. So we're going to do all that. So today I'm going to put the GoPro on my head, like I had Matt using when he was detailing the Infinity, and I'm going to bring you guys along for a first-person view of me doing some work on the car. So today I'm probably just going to get the diffuser off, probably the exhaust, and maybe the drive shaft. Next time we're here we'll actually get the subframe dropped out, which will still be this video. So this video is going to be a whole thing of the actual subframe being taken out, the bushings going in, and then the subframe going back in itself. So it's going to be all in one episode, and then I have some aero bits that I want to put on the bottom of the car, which will be its own separate video. So I'm going to throw the GoPro on my head, and we're going to get started. Now the exhaust is off. I think I'm just gonna go and take the drive shaft off and then maybe just leave it there for today. Maybe I'll take the brakes apart too. Alright, after just struggling with these bolts for way longer than it should have, I finally got them all loose. So now we just gotta get them all out, and we'll be able to take the drive shaft out. A little bit of transmission fluids coming out, but I'll just let it drain. So now I'll put this over here. Alright, so it's been about 30 minutes or so since the last GoPro footage, and the last thing that you saw was the drive shaft being taken off. But I went ahead and didn't use the GoPro and just took a couple things off suspension wise that I'll show you right now. I figured I'm going to try and keep the video moving, only because this is going to be a full takedown, refresh, put back up, and gas tank all in one video, so I don't want it to be like a 45-minute long video. I want to keep it hopefully around the 20-minute, 25-minute mark. So I'm just going to kind of just blow through things. Most of it will be on GoPro and this camera also, but the more simple stuff that I can just walk you through after, like what I'm doing right now, I just won't film. So this is what I just did. You guys saw the diffuser and stuff. I ended up taking the brakes off, so the brakes and the brake rotors are off. I just have to disconnect the parking brake cable, which I'll probably do next time I'm here, because I got to take apart the shoes, and I don't feel like doing that. Coilovers are unbolted. I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to leave the coilovers in the car and just drop the subframe and control arms down and just leave the coilovers up, because I'm not replacing them. I could leave them up there. But also, one thing I want to show you guys is that this bolt right here for the lower control arm, that wasn't really that, it was tight but not as tight as I would want. So this is a full good thing I'm doing a nut and bolt check on everything, because that was a little bit loose. This lower collar right here is a little loose, and then this side over here is actually completely loose. Like, it's not even like remotely tight. So it's a good thing I'm going through this whole thing before I start bringing it out on track again. Just because there's actually a couple things that I need to address. Oh, and also the upper sway bar bolts were loose as well. But, so this side as well, I got the coilover detached. I already had I took the sway bar out. Sway bar is sitting over here, along with the sway bar stiffeners. These things were like silver. I painted them black, painted them blue. Obviously you can see the rock chips and stuff. I'll probably scuff these back up and paint them. I don't know if I'll paint them silver, black, or whatever, but I'm going to repaint those. The sway bar is all dirty, so I'll probably clean that up. I'm probably gonna do the same thing that Matt did with his exhaust when we did his subframe, and polish up the exhaust again because I have it out. That's it for that stuff. So yeah, next step would be parking brake and the speed sensors on either side, and then literally the subframe's ready to come out. So that'll be next day I'm here. I'm gonna leave right now, so that'll be next time. Alright, so like I said, I'm calling it quits for today. You guys will just see in another second that it's gonna be the next day, and we're gonna keep going on this. What's up, guys? We're back. So it's the next day. Matt's here, so he's gonna help me drop the subframe out. I just went ahead and I got the speed sensors disconnected, so I have them just right here, and I got the whole parking brake cable stuff out, which I didn't realize that on the other side I'm actually missing a piece of my parking brake assembly, which explains why my parking brake never really worked. So I got to order that from Subaru. But basically all that we have left is just the 4 main bolts that hold the subframe in, just like we did with his IS, and the subframe will just come right out. And the diff is staying in just because I'm not replacing any bushings or anything like that, so we don't need to take that out. So we're just going to drop it all down at one time.
Oh man. That's like we're gonna come a race like maintenance item. It's like,
yeah,
all your aftermarket suspension needs to be like torqued again.
Yeah, after like every event, I'll probably have to check everything.
Like no matter how good the quality, like
yeah,
good quality stuff, and it still just loosens.
Yeah. All right, let's load it.
Did you do that one?
Yeah. All right, let's load it that way down. Alright, so like you guys just saw on the head cam, we just got the subframe down. Super easy to come down. We've also done it a couple times, and I've done it with Crosstreks, and they're all pretty much identical. Like I said before, coilovers and the brakes stayed up into the car, and there we go. So now our next step is that we're going to have to get it down onto the ground, and then just take off a couple pieces. Like the only things I'm really going to take off is just upper control arm, the track rod, and then probably just the tow rod, just because those are the only pieces going to be replaced or like upgraded. So like axles don't need to come out, the diff doesn't need to come out, and if only we had a press here, I'd be able to just do these bushings right now and just throw those things back in.
Is that the only thing you have to press, or are you going to do this one?
No, I'm just doing these.
Okay.
Alright, so we just got it off our little table. Matt's going to go take the upper control arms out, because I got to bring them to work to press these bushings out, and I've got white line urethane ones going in. Or are they Super Pro? I don't remember. It's a urethane bushing that goes in. So gonna replace those, then we'll scuff this up, just get all the dust and dirt off, and then we'll just power wash it real quick. We'll paint it, and then it'll be going back in. It's gonna be a nice quick job for the subframe. But then another reason why we took this out is that we got to replace the gas tank. So I'll explain, once we get this gas tank out, I'll explain why we had to replace it. But I've got a new tank over there in the box, and once we get this out, like I said, I'll explain why we have to take it out. Alright, so we just power washed the subframe. We're just letting it dry. That's gonna be it for today, because I need to go out and buy the chassis paint that Matt used on his. This is actually it right here. This roll bar and chassis paint. This stuff came out really nice, so I'm gonna use that. So I gotta go out and buy some. So we can't go any farther today. I already put the upper control arms into my truck, so I'll press those bushings out. And then next time we're here, we'll get the gas tank out and probably put that back in the same time. Alright guys, so it's another day. This is actually a couple days after we dropped the subframe out of the BRZ. I had to get some paint for the subframe, and I also had to wait for a couple parts I ordered through Subaru, which was for the parking brake, that the parts mysteriously disappeared on it, which explains why my e-brake never worked. But I also got some new tow rods for the back from ISC. I'll show you guys those once we get the subframe back in. But today, we're going to be doing the gas tank on it. We're going to be dropping it out, putting the new one back in. I got the subframe down there on the ground. I just did its first little light coat of the chassis paint. I'm going to wait for that to get tacky, and then I'm going to put the heavier layer on afterwards. So today, we're going to be getting the gas tank out. So I'm going to drop the car down. I got to take my driver's seat out because I need to access the fuel pump harness on this side and on this side, which my seats don't move. They're fixed seats, so I got to take them out in order to get some room, because also the cage is in the way also. So I got to do that. So I'm going to just throw the GoPro on my head and get going on the fuel tank. It's not going to be anything special. I probably won't even pick up this camera. I'll just probably use GoPro. It's just basically bolts for the straps. There's just a couple hoses up here for the evap and the fuel line, like the fuel filler, and then just the high pressure line up top with the harness on that side, and then just the harness on this side, and then the gas tank should drop right out. So like I said, today is probably gonna be a lot of just GoPro, the head mount today, just because it's super hot, I'm super sweaty. I just want to try and get as much done as I can today, because it's like 6 o'clock right now. I want to be out of here at like 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. 10 o'clock being the latest. So I want to see if I can get the gas tank done and the subframe back in almost basically so the car is ready to like drive again by the end of tonight. So I've got about 3 hours. So I'm going to see what I can do in the next 3 hours. Alright, before I strap the head cam on, I ended up taking the passenger seat out just because the harnesses and stuff in my driver's seat, I really didn't feel like screwing around with all that. So I took the passenger seat out. I was able to get to the transfer pump, which is just right here. It's kind of hard to show because of the cage, but that one just had a connector on it, so the connector is now off. And now same with the actual fuel pump side. It just has one fuel line, which I already disconnected, and then it has the connector on it as well. So that's all disconnected. So now everything underneath is, everything on top is done. So tank is now ready to be dropped out once I get the filler neck removed and the charcoal canister stuff removed. Alright guys, you're now on head cam. I'm just gonna basically time lapse you guys just to get this over, with as quick as I can. Basically it's just gonna be this, looks like maybe this line right here, and then that looks like about it. I'm gonna check all around just to make sure, but then we just have these two straps. So then we'll do the same thing that I did with the subframe. I'll just use that right there, and I'll just lower it down, lower the car down so this rests on it, and then we'll just take these out and the gas tank will come down. It's gonna be hopefully as simple as that. I've never dropped one of these tanks before, at least not on a BRZ. I've taken tanks down, so I know what to look for, but this shouldn't be much different than those. So I'm gonna start time-lapsing you guys right now. And then it's just a 12 mil on either side, and then same on this side. I don't know if I have the angle right on the camera, but there's 12 mils up here and then up here. So it's just those four, and then the gas tank should come down. So let's do it. All right, gas tank came out way quicker than I thought it would. That was super fast. It was literally took me like 5 minutes. But let me show you guys the couple reasons why I need to replace my gas tank. So back in 2015 or 2016, somewhere around there, I was installing my Kicker sound system in the car, and that's a big shout out to Kicker for actually hooking me up with the set, like with a sound system. But I still was running airlift performance, like air ride system, So I had all that in the trunk, and I didn't want to put the amps and all the wiring and stuff back there. I just wanted the sub to keep it clean. And I didn't have back seats. I already had those out. So I was like, alright, well let me mount the amps where the back seats are. And I knew the gas tank was where the back seats are, which is why it humps down right here, because this is actually where, you know, the floor actually comes down for the back passengers, like people in the back seat. So I was like, alright, let me mount the amps on one on either side, one for the sub, one for the speakers. And while I was doing that, I was in my head, I was saying to myself, I have to be careful when I'm drilling because the gas tank is right underneath it. So what did I do? I ended up drilling into the gas tank because I was leaning down onto the area where I was trying to drill the hole, and the drill bit went through, and I accidentally went down and I punched the gas tank with the drill bit. And at first it didn't, for the first, like, split second, it didn't leak. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't puncture the gas tank. And then literally like 2 seconds later, like not even 2 seconds later, it started leaking gas into the car. So my fix was instead of dropping the tank at the time, I just got a hole saw and I made an opening. So I was able to find where the leak was, which was right here. It was just a little tiny hole. And as my fix, I put a screw in it to stop the leak. Now that has been totally fine. The whole like 4 or 5 years, it's been totally fine like that. That hasn't been a problem. What has been the problem is that I've had my fuel pump out so many times from either replacing it or having fuel level issues and anything like that, that the O-ring that goes around this locking ring is shot. So I bought 2 new O-rings, one for either side. That one's fine, but I'm just going to replace both just because I have it out. So that's one issue. The third issue and the final issue is that I'm still having fuel level issues. The first time it was just a bad ground, but I took this thing out like 3 times thinking that it was a fuel sending problem, but it was actually a bad ground, which then I fixed that, and then this has still been an issue. So with the gas tank, with the used gas tank that I bought, I also bought a used fuel sending unit. So I'm just going to swap my pump over to the other one and just use the other one that hasn't been tampered with at all. Just so then everything is basically brand new. So that's what the plan is. So now I'm going to go open up the box over there that has the new fuel tank in it, and I'm going to start swapping parts over until I have one functioning gas tank, and then I will just put it right back in because I don't need to do anything else to it besides just like swap over my fuel pump and then just put the new O-rings on that other one, and then it's good to go. I think I have to swap this line, and I think that's it. I think the other one has all the lines on it. Alright, so I found some stuff. The 2 holes for the new tank that I got, you can tell it's a lot cleaner than my old dusty one. The side that's supposed to have the transfer pump in it ended up having another fuel pump assembly one, just like it did on that side. So I ordered a fuel pump assembly from the same people. So I guess I was kind of, well, I didn't know, but I guess this gas tank had a fuel pump sending unit in that side already, so I ordered an extra one, so now I have 2 good ones and 1 bad one. But that's fine. Now I have a spare. I'm going to save it because who knows if this ever happens again. So I did a check mark on both of the good ones just so I know. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet, but this is the large O-ring. This one's actually kind of brittle, so I have 2 new ones of those, so I'm going to replace that one and then the one that's on the sending unit on the opposite side as well. So I just got to replace the seal on this one, and then that one could go back in. But I found my fuel level issue with this one. The one that I took out of my gas tank is that my fuel level thing is just chilling on the outside of it, and one of the clips that holds this piece on is actually broken. So like, see how these are already mounted on there and they're not really going anywhere? Yeah, my one's just hanging off, which completely explains why my fuel level just never worked. So that's cool. So I'm just gonna rip this one apart, literally just throw everything out besides my DW fuel pump that's in it, And then I'm gonna have to break one of these down. I'm probably gonna choose this one because it's just a little bit cleaner. Break that one down and just put the DW pump in that one, and then we'll put it back together. So now we'll just connect this, as simple as just quick connect. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one, so I'm gonna pull the O-ring down just a little bit, just like that. And then I'll get this in, just like that, and we're gonna try it again. So now this one has the arrow right here and it has the 3 right here, so it's opposite of what the other side is. I apologize if you guys can't really see what I'm doing, but it's not that exciting. It's just putting an O-ring in. Okay. Alright, so now the O-ring is in. We're gonna push this down. There we go. Okay. So now holding the fuel pump down, I'm gonna put the ring on along with this one. I'm just gonna thread it by hand, make sure it doesn't cross thread. And there we go. So now I'm gonna wipe my hands off, and I'll show you this special service tool that I grabbed from work to make sure these things go on right. So I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the instructions, but this arrow has to meet up with somewhere. I always kind of, at work, it usually has to go to wherever these lines are. This one, I can probably get it to go 180, so it matches up with them. But this one I have to go more than 180, so I don't know if I'll get it close, but I'll get it as tight as I can do it. So this tool has like the little finger grooves that slip right onto these to make it super easy. So you basically just put it on and you just turn it, just like that. So I just got to make sure that the sending units don't spin at the same time. So I'll just go ahead and tighten these a little bit more, pretty much until I feel comfortable with how tight it is. Like that's pretty tight. I might just try and get that one a little bit more. And then this one was always the problem, so we'll see how far I can get this one to go. Alright, just like that. Okay, see? I got the arrow right in those marks. So I'm gonna try, I don't know if I'll be able to, I'm gonna try and get this one the same way. It's getting pretty tight, so I'm just gonna leave it just like that. This one is right in its spot, so I'm not gonna touch anything else with that. So now I have 2, hopefully fully functioning sending units and level sensors now. So now I just gotta transfer over a couple hoses, and this one's ready to go in. Alright, so now I just got the gas tank reinstalled. The filler is on. The evap line is now on. So this is the one line, just the vent that usually clips up into here, that it goes right here. So I just need to get a piece of hose just to go over here. So that's not a big deal. I wish they didn't cut it, but I guess that's what happens when you get it from like a junkyard or something. They just cut everything. But other than that, it's all set, everything's attached, so the subframe can actually go back in now, which I'm gonna try and get that thing up on this by myself. I might have to get some like tie downs or something and attach it to the lift and have it hang. I don't even know yet, but I'm gonna try and get it on myself. Alright, so I just went around, tightened all the bolts. I tightened these small 14s on either side. So now the subframe is 100% back in the car. So now, trying to get to the upper vent hose is gonna be a little bit of a pain, but it should be, yeah, it's right here. So I'll be able to reach that. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain to get to it, but I'll be able to reach it. And then the other piece, oh, the other piece is right here. Okay, so it'll be a little of a pain to get to that, but it's not the end of the world. I've had to deal with worse at work, so that's okay. So now, since I painted the subframe when it was down on the ground, so I wasn't able to get the bottom side of it, so I'm just gonna go and just quickly spray just the couple areas that I missed underneath, and then we'll start replacing some of these control arms. Alright, so I just touched up all the areas that I missed from not being able to see it. But quickly, I don't know if you could see with the GoPro or not, but I replaced the control arm bushings. I said earlier in this episode that I was going to replace those. So those are some Super Pro bushings. The other side you can see too. These we're actually going to be replacing. But I replaced those upper control arm bushings. They were literally... This car has 37,000 miles on it, and there was not really anything wrong with them. But I figured, well, we did Matt's bushings on his control arms with the same exact Super Pro ones, and they were like an extremely nice quality. I really liked how they looked and how his car like how it drives right now. So I went ahead and just cleaned up those arms. I pressed those bushings out. I painted them, and then just off camera before I put the subframe back in, I put those bushings in, which wasn't hard at all. They literally just pressed in by hand. And now you can see the white line bushings are compressed. So now the subframe is solid. I actually have the white line, if I could get the tape off, I have the white line diff lockdown kit as well. I actually bought the diff kit the same time I bought the subframe kit, but the subframe kit to just do on the ground was a little bit more like labor intensive. So I basically just got super lazy with just not wanting to do them, because I could have did it over at work, because I have a lift over there. But I was just super lazy, and we were gonna have the subframe out, so I thought I might as well just do them now. I'm gonna show you guys how to do the other side. Super simple. Literally just bolt in, but I'll get it on camera just so you guys can see the install, see how quick it goes, and you'll be able to see the eccentric lockout that they give you also. So there's two different size bolts. The bigger bolt goes through the eccentric area. It's pretty easy to figure out which side is which when it'll only go through one side. What I found I had to do too is actually just loosen these up just to get them to spin, so I could lengthen them, because they come as short as possible. Let's do the outer one. So it comes with both the little pieces. You put the pieces in. Then what I do is I just get the bolt and I put it through, just so I don't lose these little pieces. And then I'm able to feed it up in and then through this little thing. So now I just gotta find the nut, which is this one right here, and it'll just go right on, just like that. We're gonna leave it loose for now. And now see, this one ISC is the right way, this one ISC is the right way. So now on the other side I had to spread this one out a little bit. I had to spread these out. Let's see if I have to do it on this side too. Yeah, I'll have to spread them out. So I just grab a pry bar and just bend it out a little bit. Once you tighten them down, it'll crimp itself back together. So now I'll spin this to get it come out. Be prepared to drop these like 100 times, because I've already dropped them a bunch of times. Get this to go back in. See, now it just fits right up. I put bolt through the front towards the back. That's just my preference. And then there we go. Now this is the eccentric lockout. So it'll just go just like that. So it goes into this opening. And so now it does not use the factory way of alignment anymore. So now it'll only use this. And then see, you just gotta spin these, and you have them aim whichever way you want, just so you can reach the bolts, which I think is awesome. So much easier. This is what I'm using, this is what I'm gonna use when I'm on the alignment rack. So now I'll be able to just go in here. I'm not gonna fully tighten them down, but I'll just be able to go like this, and there we go. It'll start tightening down. Like I said, I'm not going to tighten them down completely, just because I have to adjust. I have to do a little bit of an eyeball alignment on this thing before driving it. Let's just go throw these in real quick, and then we'll see how everything looks. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, nice and simple. These things have the brackets for this, for the parking brake. I'm not quite sure how these went on, or if I have them on backwards, I'm not sure. Oh no, they just go like that. So I think I might mount these on right now. And then we'll be done. And then we'll be done for now. Alright, so I actually ended up putting the those traction rods on the wrong way. They're backwards. I wasn't able to get the parking brake cable bracket to bolt on because this piece was on the outside instead of the inside. So I just had to swap those real quick. No big deal. Now they're on. No, nothing's tight, like I said before. Everything's gonna stay pretty loose until I get a wheel on it and put the weight of the car down on it, just like we did in the IS video when we put the subframe back together. But that's where I'm gonna leave it for tonight. I'm gonna come back probably tomorrow, and we'll just keep on going. We just have to put the rear sway bar back in, and then do the drive shaft, the parking brake cables with the brake stuff, and then the drive shaft. And then I'm exhausted if I didn't say that already. And then that'll be pretty much it, besides just doing that vent hose for the gas tank, and then just going up back into the car and just plugging the fuel pumps back in, and then we're done. Pretty quick. So I'll catch you guys probably tomorrow. Alright, what's up guys? So it is now the next day. It's actually going to be the final day. We're going to finish this thing up. We're going to get it back on the ground. So I went ahead and I already started working on it. I got the parking brakes on either side all back together because I figured it wasn't really anything special to film. So I'm going to show you guys just that, and I'll show you guys the fix I had to do, wherever my light went. Fix I had to do to that vent on the top. So this piece right here, whatever place I bought my new tank from, they cut it right here. So and this doesn't come off. It's like it's permanent on the tank. So what I ended up doing, since that's just the vent line for the filler neck, just so like the whole system doesn't just like glug, it uses that to vent. You're not really going to be able to see it, but I used a rubber hose up there with that little screw over there. Yeah, you can't see it, but it's up there. It doesn't hold fuel. All it is just an air vapor vent line. So I used fuel hose anyway, so I won't have any problems with that. That worked out fine. Both brakes on either side are back together. So now what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna put the rear sway bar on with the new end links that I have, and then we will drop this thing down and, well, put the wheels back on it, drop this thing down, and we'll finish tightening everything up, and then we're pretty much done. Alright, so my GoPro died when I was putting the sway bar in, but I just got the end links in. The center collars aren't tightened down yet, but those are kind of a pain in the butt to get in. What I didn't know is that you actually had to use the supplied spacers. I thought it would just be one on either side, like how the coilover is, but you actually you have to, like, depending on what setting you're putting your sway bar at, which I put it at the full, like the loosest setting, like the softest setting, before I had it on the hard, and I couldn't adjust it at the track, so I'm putting it to soft now just because I had some oversteer problems last time I was at Lime Rock. But so I had to space it out this way, so that was a little bit different than what I was used to. Same with this side, I had to do the same thing. But this one's on. Now both sides are on, so now all of the suspension is back on. Alright, so I just dropped this thing down on the ground. all I did just to get the wheels, basically just the weight of the car, on the back wheels, I just stacked a couple wheels on either side. If you want to see kind of like how I actually did that, I'll put the link up there, just for when Matt and I did his rear suspension, his rear subframe. I actually have it in the film of us doing it. So I kind of just skipped ahead because it's nothing exciting, just tightening everything. But now everything's all tight, everything's all torqued down. I put the coilover covers back on, and the whole sway bar. Actually, I gotta tighten the end link adjustments. I gotta tighten those. But then other than that, everything in the back is all set. I gotta do just the drive shaft and the exhaust, and then we're ready to start it up. So I'm just gonna go and tighten those end links, and you guys already saw me take the exhaust and the drive shaft off, so I'll meet up with you guys when this thing's ready to start. Alright, so I just finished getting the exhaust and the drive shaft on. Like I said, I didn't film it just because you guys saw me take it off, but I tried to polish it up a little bit, and it's not as shiny as Matt's came out, but it's better than it was before. It's not dirty anymore. And then I came in here and I plugged in both sides. I plugged in the fuel feed line on that side. I just covered those up just temporarily. Well, not really temporarily, but I just didn't fully secure them yet, just in case if there was an issue still. So just like you can see, the harness is still sticking out of it. But now I had about like almost a half a tank of gas in the original tank, which is right there. So Matt was here earlier, just to help me pour it into my fuel can. So now I'm just gonna pour it in this one, and then we're gonna turn it on, see if it starts up. All right, so I just finished pouring. That was probably about 5, maybe 5.5 gallons into the BRZ. So now we're just gonna get in it, and we're gonna see if this thing starts up. First, I'm gonna have to prime this system because it's bone dry. Bone dry, so I'm just gonna see if the fuel pump engages, which it did. You guys probably can't hear it on camera, but I can hear it. So I'm just gonna turn it off, turn it back on just a couple times. There we go. I hear it kind of like bubbling a little bit back there, so it's building pressure. I'll do it one more time. Alright, let's see if it starts. There we go. Starts up as it should. So now I'm just hoping that my fuel level actually works. It usually takes a little while for it to register. So I'm hoping that'll just go back to normal. I didn't screw around with anything with this level sensor that's in it. So usually what you have to do is it kind of has to like reinitialize itself. So it kind of just has to build its own memory of like what the tank is actually at. So it might take like maybe a couple miles or so for that to actually start reading right. Just sitting here by itself, it might not adjust to it. I might actually have to drive it. But another good thing is I just went to go try and use my handbrake, and before I would have to pull it literally all the way up, and it would still just barely lock. Now I actually have tension on it, and I can pull it to like here, only like a couple clicks up, and now it actually feels stiff, when before it just never felt stiff. So there we go. So that's a success. So that's gonna be a wrap on this episode. We just did the rear subframe and the gas tank with refreshing the subframe, kind of just fixing my issues with the fuel system, and now we have basically a brand new rear subframe and a brand new fuel system. So if you guys are going to do that yourself, hopefully you find this video helpful for that. And so next episode we're actually going to do some aero stuff for the car, which I'm still waiting for to come in, so we can't do that yet. But so don't forget to hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you later. See ya.